Howdy, mates. Good evening. Or late afternoon. It's not quite the evening yet. Welcome to Mark Twain State Park. Not too far away from a village called Florida, Missouri. I know it sounds a little confusing because they're two different states. But as a matter of fact, Missouri does indeed has a village called Florida. Now, in terms of how exactly the name came to be, I'm not really sure. However, though, there is a particular significance of this village nearby. And it has to do with the name of the park, right? Mark Twain. Going back to 1835, him, along with a family of 5 kids and 2 parents, this is where he was born. Not too far from here is a museum that dedicates to his birthplace, that showcases the original cabin. However, though, unfortunately, since I got here a little later in the day, the museum was already closed. So hopefully tomorrow I can go in there. But I tell you what, this trip has been rather insightful. And I say that for a couple of reasons. Of course, mostly everyone, just about, has heard of Mark Twain. But I only knew of him. I didn't really know what his life entailed until today. And yesterday. And the day before, where I did a little bit of homework beforehand. But something that Mark Twain, whose real name was Samuel Clemens, is his work in literature. Some of his most famous pieces include The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, as well as even his other work of Huckleberry Finn. And what's fascinating is he only lived in this area for the first couple of years in his life, and then his family moved on over to a town called Hannibal, Missouri. I know, not to be confused with Silence of the Lambs, right? But over in the town of Hannibal, it features his boyhood home and a bit of the neighborhood that he grew up in. And it was during those early years of his boyhood in which later in his life he decided to write some books based off of his memories of his hometown. Now, of course, his books, such as Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, have that fictional taste in it, so it's not a work of nonfiction by any means. However, it was during his time in Hannibal that provided that inspiration to write his literary works, as it were. But prior to him even becoming an author, he did a variety of work. He was a newspaper editor, even a river pilot as well on the Mississippi River. Those are just a couple of examples of what he did. So he spent a lot of time when he was actually around my age, maybe a little younger, in which he spent a lot of time on the Mississippi River. But once more of his work was focused on literature, that's when he had the opportunity to travel the world a bit more. So, as a matter of fact, prior to him writing his first book, Innocents Abroad, which was published in, I think it was like the late 1860s, it was about his time that he spent in Europe. So he went through a couple of different countries, like Italy, Greece, Turkey, and even Jerusalem. So he had a very diverse life. And to have a bit of that insight about him, it was just really cool. And as a matter of fact, the reason that he winded up nicknaming himself, or why his pen name became Mark Twain, is because it's a measurement of 2 fathoms whenever steamboating was a practice that had to do with depth. A mark was 6 feet in depth, and then a twain was another 6 feet in depth, so 12 feet. And he decided to put those 2 together, therefore creating his pen name of Mark Twain. But it was in 1910 in which he passed away while he was with his family in Elmira, New York State. And he even had a very nice estate that is actually still open as a museum in Hartford, Connecticut, in addition to that. Either way, I hope you even gained some insight about Mark Twain yourself, and the fact that there's always more to someone than what can meet the initial eye. So, alright, you guys, take care. Have a good one.